Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today for you, we're bringing another Wildhearts deck profile for you guys. We just recently had a new familiar get revealed as one of the mystery familiars that went out with the foundation set. So I thought I would use this time to go ahead and jump on this and cover this guy because I'm super excited about him being released because it's a fire dog. Like anytime there's a fire dog, Arcanine, doesn't matter. I'm here for it. I'm all about it. So making a deck revolving around him was like super high on my agenda. Now I did know about this guy before he came out. As always, I am also the marketing director for Wildhearts. But besides that, I was a fan of this game for a year before I ever started working for these guys. So I knew I was going to cover this game either way, no matter what. But now that I got a little bit of insight, it is kind of nice to prep a little bit before these videos come out. But needless to say, let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, so I've got the deck here laid out for you guys so we can kind of do a follow along. I hope you guys like this change in the setup from the previous video. I am staying at my desk this time using my desk mic instead of the built-in camera mic. Hopefully the image is also clearer for you guys and all that fun stuff. But to do this, I do have to read the cards upside down, so bear with me. Hopefully I don't missay anything too big. Now, Kindolf here is going to be our primary familiar of the deck, with the Trossom here kind of backing him up, giving him some protection. So what makes the Kindolf so special here is his ongoing. When Kindolf is the target of a Hammer card, it gains +1 power and draw a card. So Might usually struggles a little bit in the card draw department here. So this is going to be super nice for the Kindolf here. And just right off the bat, like as soon as you basically power him up with something as simple as a strength training, he is immediately on par in power with a Chrism, and is going to be able to, quickly overtake what the Chrism can do with a lot less cards. Remember, the +10 is as high as you can go on a card, so hitting that threshold will be actually pretty quick with the Kindolf. But in the process, we get a ton of draw. Now, the Chrism, though, has the block on the debut, which is going to be really strong. However, that's when we're going to pair him up with the Trossom here, because the Trossom's, his debut is play 1 mirror image token. Which, for those of you that are not aware, the mirror image token has just a slew of different keywords: tame, wild, magic, skill, token. It's an ally card, but it has guardian, so that's going to be the biggest thing. And it also is 1 power, so you're going to be able to get some actual other use of it, because it's an ally taking up an ally slot in one of your fields. But the guardian's going to be nice because we're going to be able to, every time we debut the Trossom, spit out one of these guardians to help keep our Kindolf protected no matter where he's going to go. So basically where the Kindolf goes, you're going to throw a mirror image in there with him to make sure he stays protected, since you don't have that block. Now, also the Trossom brings a really cool ongoing. Each round, when your first friendly ally is KO'd, put them into your hand instead there. So that's going to be also really nice, because plenty of times, the opponent has to eat the Guardian here and remove this guy, so they're going to get to your Kindolf. And then just being able to bounce this to your hand, it's a 0 play cost, so you can just play it right back out, and you can start to play behind your opponent in the process. So this is going to give you more cards to play at a 0 cost. So really going to be super nice for the deck in general. Always a really cool thing with the Trossom there, just being able to bounce stuff back. Moving on from there, we're going to talk about our fields here. The only copy of Fertilis Canyon apparently that I own is the alt art that I won like 6 months ago in one of their online tournaments. So this is a 1 of 2 alt arts that exist of this card, but it's available in the Foundations packs as well. Apparently I just didn't open any, but each player has -1 space in this field, so we're only being able to play out 3 allies to this field. But again, because we're playing the Kindolf here. Our Kindolf is going to be absolutely massive. He's just going to be walking around by like mid-game as a 16 power creature by himself. So Fertilis Canyon, you know, making your opponent have to keep up with that kind of power with only 3 spots instead of 4 is going to be a little bit challenging for him. But also to combo with that, we also have the Griffin's Crag here. Kind of serves the same purpose here. 2 or less ally cards cannot be played in this field. So again, we're going to be able to slam down our Kindolf in, you know, whichever field we so choose. And it's going to be really difficult for our opponent to also be able to combat that. So in both fields, your opponent's going to be super limited with the 2-player cost or less. There's no way for the opponent to play into the Griffin's Crag turn 1. So you're going to be in a really good position with the Griffin's Crag on turn 1 if it gets revealed out of the judge's deck. You may consider kicking this, though, if the opponent is playing the Trossom, because sometimes it might be a little difficult for the Kindolf to get to be able to stay on par with the Trossom turn 1. But besides that, Griffin's Crag's pretty much a must play at. So really good stuff there, as well as you're going to see a decent amount of movement in the deck as well. So if we ever need to pivot to one of the other ones, we can do so, and it's still going to be just as difficult for the opponent to deal with the Kindolf. Of course, we have our 1 inspiration here, which is, you know, the generic for everyone for our mastery. So a free move. It's kind of like a one-time support. You just flip it down afterwards, and then it's just a regular resource, a blank resource for the rest of the game. All right, so let's go ahead and do this card by card then. What we're working with. I'm going to go, I'm doing it the same as I did last time, where we're going to go with just on curve. So it's going to be both might and tactics cards mixed together, but it's going to be 0s, 1s, 2s, 3s. All right, so first up, we've got our Lucky Hat here for our tactics. I love this card. Super, super good card. If you turn 1 support this, that's going to be 4 extra cards you're going to see in this game with that support draw card. Super nice. I've said it numerous times, like, the drawing in this game is limited, right? You only draw at the beginning of the round. If you're going second, you're getting 2 cards. If you're going first, you're getting 3 cards, and that's it, right? So being able to add 4 more cards is going to be super good, as well as we have a little bit more draw power in a few other cards. But in addition to that, any turn after 1, or if you get 2 in your opening hand, leave this card in play. The next card you play from your hand cost -1, then discard this card. So that's going to be really powerful, turning all of your all of your cards 1 less cost. So good. It's also doesn't have speed, so you can just play this and then pass it to your opponent and see what they're going to do, right? And it allows you to play from behind. Same with what we talked about, the mirror image. I enjoy playing from behind, reacting to what my opponent's doing instead of being proactive. But to be reactive, you're never going to be passing first, basically. So it's a good idea to have a lot of draw power, because you're never going to have that initiative token to be able to draw first. All right, our next card, we already kind of mentioned it earlier, but we got the strength training here as well. 0 cost skill tamer card. This is going to be our first one that's going to combo with our Kindolf here. Just give a friendly creature +2 power. If it's an ally, they're going to gain Guardian till the end of the round, but you're pretty much always going to want to be using this on the Kindolf. Like 9 times out of 10, just hard playing this on the Kindolf is your way to go. The support is also nice. Give a friendly creature +1 power. You know, if you source this as a support turn 1, that's going to be 4 power that you're going to be able to give over the course of the game. But if you hard play it instead, 1, you get to start playing from behind, which we would really like to do. But also, it's going to be 2 plus the 1 for the Kindolf, so it's a 3, and you draw a card from the Kindolf. So I think hard playing this is going to be the way to go pretty much exclusively in this deck. In other decks where I wouldn't be having the Kindolf, I might source this turn 1 instead if I've got it as a support. But in this, you're going to pretty much always just want to play it, hard play it from hand. All right, next up is a card that we have not covered yet on the channel before. We've got the Shadoon here. It's a 1 play cost ally with 2 power. Not a crazy stat block there, pretty standard. But the ongoing, when you play an item card, give a friendly creature +1 power. Any creature, it doesn't have to be ally or familiar, either or is fine. Because a lot of our tamer cards that we're using in conjunction with our Kindolf are also items, Shadoon really shines in this deck. So just being able to give even more power also allows to spread around some power to something like our Trossom here. So that's kind of the thought process there, is he's really good because the Kindolf eventually will hit that +10 max, right? So being able to give some power to some other creatures, that way we're scoring maybe more than one field a turn, is going to be a pretty good synergy there. Now for our next card, we've got another Might ally. We've got the Terror Chick here. I've got the starter deck art as well as the Foundations artwork chosen. So it's a 1 cost 2 power ally. Pretty simple, but it has Guardian built in. So in addition to your Trossom, so your Trossom can only play out 1 mirror image around, right? So you play Trossom, Trossom covers 1 field, you flip the judge's card, and the judge's card isn't even for that field that you played the mirror image in. So you're like, okay, well now I need to move my stuff, move my Kindolf to that other field. Oh, I don't have any protection there. Slam down your Terror Chick to have that Guardian to help protect that Kindolf. In addition to that, though, his debut, give another friendly creature block. So not only are you going to be able to do Guardian to protect your Kindolf, but you could also give your Kindolf block, potentially. Now, when he goes back to the bench, he will reset and lose that block, so keep that in mind. But that can be okay. Depending on the deck you're playing against, it might be worth having the Guardian and the block to keep that Kindolf protected. But also, it doesn't have to be the Kindolf. It could be another ally. You could even target a mirror image token, which has Guardian. Give a Guardian block is just so good. It's always a really powerful combo. So don't mind seeing that there. So really good synergy with the deck again with that guy. For our next one, though, we're just kind of going a little bit more generic here. We got the Adult in the deck, of course. I love the Adult. It's a 1 cost, 1 power creature. Really low end on the stats there, but debut, KO an opposing ally played this round. If it was wild, you're going to gain 1 VP. Gaining VP cards are always super good. We like to see them when possible, but being able to KO an opposing ally can be really strong, especially because this is only a 1 cost card. So you can, of course, stall out, slow down the game. Lucky Hats, your strength trainings, your mirror images, if they get bounced to hand, whether the Trossom effect or your opponent just returns them to hand, whatever the case may be. So being able to play this late in the round, say after your opponent plays something like a Croc, that's going to have that massive power, but it's going to have stuff like Guardian on it. Same with like the Tadalo. Those are going to be really cost-heavy cards of 3 cost. Your opponent's going to have to play those before you run out of resources, right? And then just swooping in with an Adult and then clearing it off the board is really powerful. So always like to include an Adult usually. It is kind of a flex spot though. Like, it doesn't necessarily synergize with these guys. It could synergize a little bit with the Trossom if you like returned it to hand. If it was the first creature KO'd that round, you could bounce it to hand and then just use it again, which is always super good. But doing something like that, I like to do that a little bit more with Ferocity, because I can use something like a Fury Potion and support to just immediately pop the Adult to give +2 power, because it's only the 1. So giving 2 power, that's going to be just a net +1 somewhere, and then bouncing this to hand and reusing it. But it still works in this. It's still combos nicely with the Trossom, and it's just a solid card on its own in general. Next up, we have another VP gaining card in the form of our Trossom here. Another 1 cost ally with 2 power here. It's also a Guardian, so similar to the Terror Chick. So same stuff, we talked about that. Again, if you play the mirror image to the wrong field that's not active this round, you can go ahead and slam down a Trossom to protect that Kindolf if you need to move that Kindolf. But it also has a great debut effect of move another ally. If they are a friendly ally, gain +1 VP. So really good. Whether you're moving an opponent's ally, maybe from a scoring field to a non-scoring field, that can be really, really powerful as well. But also being able to just move your own stuff to help double up on the protection, or just get a nice variety of protection, right? So you want to play this to the Kindolf field to protect him, and then use that debut to then move that mirror image over to protect the Trossom. And so all your stuff is going to be protected by Guardian, all your bigger creatures here, your familiars. So really good synergy there, and you're going to gain that 1 VP. All right, our next card here is going to be Alistair's Guide. I'm a big fan of Alistair's Guide. It's a 1 play cost tamer card here, but it will not synergize necessarily with Kindolf. But it is a seek 4, so you're going to look at the top 4 cards, and then you get to pick 2 of those to add to your hand, and then the others are going to go to the bottom of your deck. So a 1 cost to look at 4, get 2 is really strong. Like, that alone is super strong. Just being able to dig for that exact out that you need. Remember, we're playing with 30 card decks. You start the game with 7, potentially 8 if you're going first. That leaves 22 cards left in the deck by turn 2 and beyond. You know, you're looking at maybe half your deck here. Kindolf going to be drawing you cards. We've got other draw power as well. We've got the Lucky Hat support drawing us cards. So if you're trying to dig for an out that you haven't seen yet, the chances of you seeing it off of an Alistair's Guide are pretty solid. So seek 4, put 2 to hand, super solid. But it doesn't stop there. The support on this is also incredibly good. Move a tame ally to an adjacent field to give a friendly familiar +1 power. So again, we're going to be able to potentially buff up our Trossom here, because he doesn't get a lot of support from, or I say support, but doesn't get a whole lot of love from the tamer cards, because we're going to be using them on Kindolf so much. So something like an Alistair's Guide, being able to pump up the Trossom, is going to be really solid. But also that flexibility of being able to move stuff. Again, we're going back to talking about our Guardians, right? So we got the Trossom here that's tame. We have the Parachick that is also tame. So being able to move them to keep them in the right fields to keep your stuff protected, super valuable, as well as your mirror images, of course, have the tame keyword on them also. So really nice flexible card. Whether you're hard playing it or supporting it, you're gonna see a ton of value out of it. And our last 1 cost card, I know, look at all these 1 cost cards we are running in this deck. It's actually pretty heavy on the 1 cost cards, but they're all so good and they all synergize so well with this deck that it's just kind of a must-have. But we're running the Sylph Amulet. This card's just good in so many different matchups. If a friendly ally has been KO'd this round, play them from your discard and give them block. So immediately play out that card that your opponent just put all that work into. Something like your Guardians here, being able to play those back and then giving them block. I already mentioned how giving block to a Guardian creature is stupid strong. So just a really nice synergy there with these guys. But it doesn't, it's not just about bringing those Guardians back, but something like an Adult. You could bring the Adult back and trigger that debut again to pop something. Bring back a Shadoon, because the Shadoon keeps powering up all your creatures so much. The Terrachick giving out block to something else. The Trossom being able to move stuff to gain VP. Super flexible card, usable in tons and tons and tons of matchups. But even if you're playing against something maybe that doesn't, against a deck that doesn't have a ton of removal, right? The support is also fabulous, because you may move a friendly creature, doesn't matter if it's familiar or ally, to an adjacent field. So again, having that flexibility of being able to move around, because we're going to be, using these guys a whole lot, to be able to make sure your familiars are in the right location. It's going to be a great addition for the deck. And for our very first 2-play cost card, this originally was a Tortu, because I'm a big fan of Tortu. If I'm playing Might, I'm usually playing Tortu. Just that 5 power on a 2 play cost card, super solid, and having block, so it's difficult to remove, is just really, really good. But the Tortu doesn't really have any other synergy with this deck, other than, sure, it can be powered up by a lot of your other cards here, but besides that, doesn't really synergize. But the Illusion here, I think, has a ton of synergy. So, debut, put a 1 or more cost tamer card from your discard into your hand. You may move a friendly creature of that card's style. So being able to grab back our tamer cards that we played to, boost up our Kindolf or whatever the case may be. We've got several of these in here, more that we're going to be able to get to here in a minute. So we've got the Alistair's Guide as well as the Sylph Amulet. But don't worry, we've got plenty more. Being able to add those cards back is going to be super good. And then also KO, give -1 power to each opposing creature in the field Allusion was in. So that's really nice. So if your opponent wants to remove it off the field for whatever reason, you'll get a nice little KO effect out of it. So just being able to recycle back some cards is going to be why we're going to include that here. Now for our next card, we've got a huge favorite of mine as I drop one. But we got the Skyer here. Skyer is one of just the best removals in the game, in my opinion. It's on an ally card here, so you got a body afterwards. It is speed, so you're going to get that follow-up there as well, which can be really important if, say, you need to remove block off of a creature. You're going to use your Skyer here to go ahead and target that creature to trigger that block, and then they're going to be open. And because you have speed, you can immediately follow up with another removal card to then take it out. But in case you're wondering what removal I'm talking about here is debut in this field, shuffle up to 2 opposing ally cards into their owner's deck, or return an opposing familiar back to their owner's bench. So being able to remove 2 allies off the field and not just like putting them in trash or putting them to hand where they can be useful again, putting them to deck is just so brutal for your opponent to have to deal with, because there's really no way to get those cards back immediately, or being able to force an opponent's familiar back to the bench is also great because of like tent poles. So if you see like a Might familiar out there, there's plenty of the Might ones.Maybe not the turtle. Maybe you don't want to do that to the turtle because that would be kind of bad. But like something like a Kindolf or a Trossom, especially the Trossom, because the Trossom can't be KO'd, so just forcing it back to the bench, Skyer is super powerful in the removal department. So I just like to include him whenever I'm playing some tactics, whenever I have the space available for it. So kind of similar to what we were talking about with the Adult, the Skyer kind of serves that same similar purpose. Yes, I'm running both. You might not need to run both, but the Skyer also really synergizes with the Trossom. If the opponent KOs it, we can just return it back to our hand and then play it again. So your opponent really doesn't want to be removing too many of your bodies off the field. All right, our next card here is going to be Hidden Powers. This is going to be another one of our Tamer cards that is going to be able to target our opponent's stuff here. It is a magic card, though. It's not an item, so no synergy with Shadoon here, but it's kind of a must with Kindolf here. Move a friendly creature, so ally or familiar here, but targeting Kindolf will trigger because it is a Tamer card. Ignoring Guardian, KO the opposing ally with the highest power in their field. Being able to ignore Guardian is huge. Unfortunately, we can't ignore block with this, but still ignoring Guardian is going to be absolutely massive. You see how many Guardian cards we alone are playing, and there's a good chance your opponent might be doing the same. But also, again, this is a great one to pair up with our Kindolf here, getting them not only in the right field to score, but triggering their ongoing as well as removing bodies. Like this card, this is one of the main times I like to use Hidden Powers. I don't use Hidden Powers a whole lot in a lot of my decks, but when you have that right synergy, it's super good, and this is exactly the type of deck where you're going to see really good value out of it. Also, this is one of another target for our Allusions to grab back, so we can immediately play it again on another turn or on the same turn if you absolutely need to. And then immediately following it up with another Tamer card here. So we got Reprieve here for 2 cost. Again, these Tamer cards at 2 cost and higher feel a little iffy because of, you're not keeping a body on field, right? If I'm playing 2 or higher, I like to have a body involved, but These cards are so powerful. One, you're removing a body off field with something like Hidden Powers, which is almost the same as playing a body itself, but something like Reprieve here. So it does have speed, which kind of balances it out, I would say, a little bit, because sometimes speed can be a negative thing and not always a positive thing, like we talked about with the Skyer. But choose a friendly familiar. If you are winning their field, they gain +2 power, and you may play a 1 cost or less card from your hand. So in that case, it would be almost like a 1 cost card, because you're playing it and then you're playing a 1 cost for free. So it's like playing a 1 and a 1. So giving it 2 power, not a ton of value there, right? Because that's almost the same as a strength training, but strength training is 0. So you're paying, you could play 0 and a 1 and get the same value as a Reprieve at the 2 cost. So, but the follow-up here on the second part, if you're losing their field, they gain +3 power and you gain 2 VP. So that's really great. That 2 VP gain is going to be absolutely massive. And then remember with the Kindolf, if you're targeting it with this card, it's going to be even higher. You're going to get that +1 and the draw. So even if you're just using that first effect on Reprieve, it's still technically you're going to be doing some solid value out of it. Not only are you getting that other body, but you're also going to get that draw off the Kindolf here. So while maybe not as good necessarily in that first part as strength training, it's still going to be really good solid synergy with Kindolf. In any other combination of a deck, I would never want to use that first effect if I wasn't getting another set of some sort of value out of it. That first effect alone is not enough. The second effect, absolutely incredible. So moving on now, just a few cards left in the deck. We have, of course, we're playing Might. We're playing a deck where we're juicing up our familiars. We're including Giant Growth here. And of course, I've got to include the alt art from the Foundation set because it's my absolute favorite version of this card. The massive Chrism in front of the waterfall is so cool. This is another one of those cards that have speed, which this can be either or. So you're going to be targeting a familiar, and then helps if I flip it over and read it. Draw 2 cards and choose a friendly familiar. So you're drawing 2, which again, a little bit more draw, just a little bit more. I think this is the last of our draw here. Besides, of course, triggering the Kindolf over and over. This is going to be just one of our native draw cards. Until the end of this round, opponents have -1 space in their field. Now think about that in combination with the Fertilis Canyon. Your opponent already has -1 space in their field, and then you play a Giant Growth to then give them another negative space in that field. Now they can only have 2 creatures there. Absolutely insane. So Giant Growth there, really cool. And then when scoring, they have +6 power. So huge, absolutely massive boost to the Kindolf. So essentially it's like a +7 power to this guy. Just wild. And then you're going to be basically drawing 3 cards off this. So you're turning your Giant Growth into like a massive Giant Growth because you're increasing the power gain and you're increasing the draw gain. Just match made in heaven with these cards here. And now we're going to be getting on to the 3 cost cards here. We have Volt Rock, which I don't usually use a whole lot of Volt Rock. It kind of depends on the build that I'm using here. Usually I just have it as a 1 of 3 costs, but in here we're actually going to be running it as a 2 of. I don't do a ton of 3 cost tamer cards, but in this situation I think it kind of calls for it because not only is it a tamer card that's going to be targeting our Kindolf potentially, it's also an item card, so we're going to get really good synergy with our Shadoon here. So how it works is choose up to 4 friendly creatures. For each one, choose one of the following effects. You cannot choose a single effect twice. So +4 power, +3 power, +2 power, and give block. So giving block to your Kindolf potentially, or picking the exact one that's going to basically kind of put him to the peak. So +4 would be a +5, of course, and so on and so forth. So finishing him off, getting him to that +10 power, really good. Or giving him the block and +1 power, also really good. And then also juicing up all your other creatures, your Trossoms, any of your other guys here that might have block that are a little difficult to remove off board. you're just, the value there is just so good. Now for the next two, it's kind of awkward, right? So I've got one Unity Tactics here. Again, a tamer card that's going to be targeting creatures here, but unfortunately, it's only going to be targeting our allies, giving them +2 power and block. And if 6 or more creatures with block, if you have 6 or more creatures, sorry, with block, gain 2 VP. We have a pretty good amount of creatures on board because the Trossom round after round after round is going to be spitting out our mirror images, and then also all of our guardians that we're also going to be giving block to and all that fun stuff. Our board is going to be decently full here. So being able to use a Unity Tactics actually has pretty good synergy here. I debated even running 2 copies in here, but I only have 1 copy for whatever reason. I guess I have not pulled a second one. I thought I had gotten one, but yeah, apparently not. I dropped the ball on that one. Sorry, guys. But instead, we're just going to have a little bit of a flex spot here in the form of Lunos as just another 3-cost card. I usually like to have 6 3-cost cards, but most of the ones out of Tactics didn't really synergize. I didn't necessarily need the ones out of Might, like Tadalo. I didn't really necessarily need him either. So I just went with the Lunos because he's kind of nice and generic. Debut, choose 2 of the following. You get to draw 2 cards. You can gain 2 power. You can KO an opposing ally in this field. And there's no limit to that, right? Just KO anything you want, assuming they're not blocked or they don't have Guardian protecting them. Like, they can be played 2 turns ago if you want, you know, it doesn't really matter. Or you can gain block. So really nice flexible card there. Like making him a 6 creature with block, you know, that's a play you can make. KOing something, drawing cards. Again, we go really draw heavy in this deck. So he's just kind of a nice flexible creature there. And then KO, shuffle this ally into its owner's deck instead. So it doesn't go to the trash. It goes back into the deck, potentially for you to use it again. Again, with all the draw power we have in this deck, the potential of seeing a Lunos again, actually not that bad. And that is the last card in the deck. And I would say this is probably the biggest flex spot, this Lunos. You can just kind of swap it out for whatever you want. If you want to have the, you know, that at least 1 Tortu, you could do that. If you want to have that second Unity Tactics there, because it's actually kind of a lot easier to trigger this because of the Trossom and having all those bodies on field. You know, a second Unity Tactics in this deck actually isn't that bad. I normally never do that, but in this deck, you could totally do it. And that is the total of the deck there, 30 cards. I hope you guys enjoy this. I know it was a little bit long, but I really wanted to give you a good breakdown of the choices and why we made them.